I think everything is in motion. Check. Yep. Let's see. Yep. Alright. That song I made, that one is called, I called it Collectivism. It is the acoustic reverb mix. Anyway. I'm going to try to make this a lot quicker today because I have stuff to do. There is something I do every Tuesday. I go and jam with some people. Go right to the articles. Here we go. Is that going good? Let's see. Yep. Okay. Cool. Let's see what this has to say. This little thing.
Safe task force, and it's very important because of the crime that's going on, not only in Memphis, in many cities, and we're going to take care of all of them, step by step, just like we did in D.C. We have virtually no crime in D.C. right now, and we're going to keep it that way. It's our nation's capital. We're going to keep it that way, or we're going to federalize it if we had to, but we don't have to anymore because it's in such great shape. This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here, and you'll see it's a lot of the same thing, although the numbers here are really something. They're really bad. Now, we did send FBI in about 4 months ago to work, and it brought some of the numbers down, and they did a great job, but we're sending in the big force now. We also sent them into Chicago on a sort of a moderate basis, and we brought down crime a little bit in Chicago, but we're now going to bring it down very big. We're going to be doing Chicago probably next. I was with a great businessman, a man who is involved in all cities through his business. And I say, who do you think should be next after Memphis? And he said, sir, you've got to save Chicago. We're going to wait a little while. But he said, you got to save Chicago. You can't let it go. And this is a very prominent man that everybody knows. And this from another man in Memphis was saying, Bill, he was saying, very interesting, he's on the board of Fed.
Okay, yeah, I get it. And this sucks. Like, honestly, like, crime rates have just been going down, but aside from that, you're never going to have a society that's completely crime-free. It just isn't going to happen. It's never existed in all of human history. There's always going to be rapists, murderers, people who assault others, theft, prostitution, which I don't think should be illegal. As long as it's mutual informed consent, which a lot of the sex workers, that's what it is. It's no, yes, I will take you as a client. No, I won't take you as a client. But there is a monetary exchange usually that goes in, whatever. Drug use. There has been no society ever in the entire history of human beings, no society the world over, no culture, nowhere that has ever been sober. Drug use is as old as soon as human beings figured out that it could be done. And even in ultra-authoritarian places where drug use is the death penalty, it still exists. You will never, ever, ever have a clean, sober society. You will never, ever truly get rid of crime. You will not. And so he's saying, like, oh, the crime rates. In all actuality, the crime rates are really, really low, but, like, how are law enforcement people supposed to be doing their job when they've been tasked with going after people simply for, looking like they came from South America or something? how are they supposed to do their job when you've lined up loyalists and all the bureaus with no expertise in how to do law enforcement investigation or any of that? I mean, if crime rates are going up, this administration is to blame. They're the ones that took the people who knew what they were doing and replaced them with podcasters or news hosts that have absolutely no experience or training in criminal psychology, investigation, any of that. There might be a hum in the background because of the AC. I am not turning that off. It is hot today. And this man right here also creates a lot of political division and fervor, which causes people to become violent. Like, we were doing really well there as a society. Yes, tragedies happen, bad people exist. That's not gonna change. It's not gonna change. But now we knew this was coming. We knew that LA and DC was a test run. We knew that he was going to try to do this, and now it's coming to Memphis, Tennessee. Trump signs order to send National Guard to Memphis for crime crackdown. President Trump signed a memo Monday establishing a task force in Memphis, Tennessee that would mobilize the National Guard and the federal law enforcement agencies to crack down on crime, similar to steps taken in Washington, D.C. The effort will include the National Guard as well as the FBI, ATF, DEA, ICE, the ATF, FBI. How about use the FBI to investigate, like, all these missing children that are, like, nobody's talking about either. This is very problematic. There have been FBI people working under Kash Patel that say that they're very, very frustrated because there's like these child sex rings, and they want to investigate them, they want to stop them, and they can't because it's not being run functionally at all. The FBI has very serious crimes that they need to be focused on, very serious crimes. Serious ones. Like radical extremists. And I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. There are radical extremists that want to do, like, terroristic type things, and the FBI can't investigate them and stop them before they do it if they're busy doing all this weird showmanship horseshit. The ATF, why the ATF is getting involved? Why is the DEA getting involved? This out of the bureaucracy. If you asked me what bureaucracy needs to be get rid of, it's the DEA. If they dismantled the DEA and got rid of the DEA, I would have no problem with that. I'd be like, good, bye, end the war on drugs, end it now. ICE is getting involved too. Homeland Security investigations. It's like, is this what you all want? You all want the FBI, the ATF, the DEA, ICE, Homeland Security, the National Guard, and the military marching around in your streets. Is this what you guys really want? I don't want this. I don't want this. Oh, Trump said in the Oval Office, this team will deploy the full powers of the federal law enforcement agencies and enforcement generally to restore public safety and get dangerous career criminals off the streets. The effort is expected to get underway this month, with Attorney General Pam Bondi saying during a Fox News interview on Monday night that we are thrilled to go to Memphis next week. Yeah, you might be the only one who's thrilled. We're working hard, or hand in hand, with our U.S. senators, with the governor there, and we are so excited about making Memphis safe again. Safe again. When was it ever safe? When was it safe for LGBTQ people? When was it safe for women? When was it safe for people of color? For BIPOC? Speaking to Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, a Republican, of course, who attended the memo signing ceremony in the Oval Office, Trump said he expected crime rates to drop in 4 or 5 weeks, maybe sooner. You are going to see numbers that will drop and plummet like you haven't. Of course, he always says that it's going to be the greatest, biggest thing you've never seen before. Lee said Tennessee is very hopeful and excited about the prospect of moving that city forward. Is Memphis even known for having like a high crime rate? There's a city I know of, and I don't want to say its name because I don't want this administration's nose in its business, but there are cities with much higher crime rates than Memphis. Okay, I'm tired of crime holding the great city of Memphis back. Trump said, I mean, he's just making shit up. Like, there's crime rates there. They're really high. Like, no, they're not. But, that's just what we're going to say to rationalize having a militarized police surveillance state, whatever, fuck it. Trump said Friday that he planned to send several law enforcement and National Guard troops into Memphis, calling the city deeply troubled. Is it really deeply troubled? Is it? It's Memphis, Tennessee. Police Chief C.J. Davis, and if anyone from Memphis, Tennessee wants to say, like, oh, you don't live here, there's crime, blah, blah. There's crime everywhere. Everywhere. There is no such thing as a society devoid of crime. Utopian societies do not exist. They cannot exist. They are not possible. They are a pipe dream. Grow up. Historic reductions in crime rates, including murder that had dropped to 6-year low. Memphis is the latest in a growing list of cities ran by Democrats, of course, that are targets for federal investigation by the Trump administration. That's the other thing. You can make crime rates jump by just declaring something that's a crime that isn't a crime. Like if you come out and say being gay is criminal. Crime rates of like where documented like gay couples live and everything will just suddenly skyrocket because you've just now made something a crime. Trump also said Monday that St. Louis would be among the cities where he plans to initiate federal crackdown on crime. We want to save these places. This is the whole, like, I have to save you from yourself. Such an authoritarian thing to do. One and the same, I must isolate you. Isolate and save you from yourself. Cool. Trump said, referring to Chicago and St. Louis, noting that Chicago was probably next. Trump has also suggested that he could send federal troops to New Orleans. Of course. California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, sued the Trump administration over similar efforts to deploy the National Guard in response to protests against immigration and customs enforcement operations in Los Angeles, arguing Trump had federalized troops without his consent or input. A federal judge, you know what? If this is what Republicans want to do this in your cities and leave the Democrat ones alone because we don't want to do this. If you want all these militarized groups in your cities, send them to your cities. You do this. This is your thing. You do it, and we'll just stay to ourselves. And you can have the time of your life having a police militarized surveillance state. You do it. Okay, you do it. Trump's use of the troops in Los Angeles was illegal because it violated the law prohibiting the use of soldiers for civilian law enforcement activities. The case is under appeal. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't be using our military against our own civilians. This article, okay, yeah. Okay, so there's that one. All the links to the articles I'm doing today are already in the description. Here we go. What does UPI stand for again? It stands for something. This is numbered more appropriately. 3. United Press International. That's what it stands for. Let's see, did I do it right? Yeah, I did. Cool. Hegseth targets beards, facial hair with military grooming standards. If you're a military person, this is what you have to look forward to. They're not going to start being nitpicky about your facial hair. September 15th, UPI, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is targeting beards and facial hair in the military to establish new grooming standard, as the Pentagon announced Monday that leadership will be required to conduct a review on how service member grooming practices have changed over the past decade. This is really just going to help people, learn how to fight better and do, whatever military stuff. It's very, very, very important. It's aesthetics. It makes people think, and I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Having facial hair has nothing to do with learning. The rapid force-wide review of military standards requested by Hegseth, according to the Pentagon statement issued Monday, including grooming standard for facial hair. The grooming standard set by the U.S. military is to be clean, shaven, and neat in presentation for proper military appearance, Hegseth said, according to the statement by Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Purnell. Why can't a facial hair be perceived as clean and in presentation and proper? I mean, you just arbitrarily making shit up. Commanders must apply constant criteria and appropriately consider the department's interests in safety and uniformity when authorizing individual expectations. Notice I did not stop on the uniformity. Like that's just part of being in the military, is you're going to have a sense of uniformity, of collectivism. That's every military in the world. That comes with the territory of going into the military. According to Hegseth, shaving waivers will be allowed under a written recommendation by military medical officers as long as there is a treatment plan. What medical thing would prevent you from I don't know. I guess. Hegseth also said service members who require a shaving waiver after more than 1 year of medical treatment will be considered for separation. So you will be discharged. You will be discharged. Involuntary or voluntary, I don't know. As I stated when directing the rapid force-wide review of military standards, the strength of the military is our unity and our shared purpose. The department must remain vigilant in maintaining the grooming standards which underpin the warrior ethos. Shaving isn't going to make you strong. Working out does. That was so stupid, it literally, I think, broke my brain there for a minute. Anyway, like, I just can't believe the level of superstition and, like, just these weird ideas, like, I mean, it's just this sort of thing of like, it's this sort of mentality that I would expect someone to go, every morning the rooster crows and the sun comes up, so the roosters are responsible for bringing the sun up. I mean, I don't know what to say to the people in the military. I mean, I'm sorry. I wish things were different. Both President Donald Trump and Hegseth used the term warrior ethos. Warrior ethos. Every morning I get up and I take my shit from the toilet and I roll it in some herbs and wipe it on my wounds to get ready to be a warrior. Yes, this is earlier this month when renaming the Department of the Defense to the Department of War. This is so ridiculous. Words matter. No, they don't. Restoring the warrior ethos, restoring victory and clarity as an instinct. Some of these people on the right say that they're angry because the left keeps making fun of them. But when you say things that are this fucking goddamn stupid, I mean, this is fucking retarded. This is dumb. This is dumb. This is dumb. I mean, if the reason was just look, we just want people to be presented more professionally, and we don't think that people having facial hair is professional. This is how we want the American military to be perceived. To be well, I don't agree with it, but I can't argue that. But when you start saying things like, words matter, we have to call it. I mean, it's deranged. There's an old quote that from Shakespeare. What isn't a name? A rose by any other name would sound just as sweet. It doesn't matter if you call it the United States military. It doesn't matter if you call it the Department of Defense or the Department of War. It doesn't change what it is. This warrior ethos thing in his head, what he doesn't understand, a lot of people don't understand, is it's all in your head. Reality does not necessarily reflect what he's thinking here. It's like he's watched too much television and now he's chasing dreams. Yeah. Nope. The warrior instinct. Okay. And if I asked what the warrior instinct is, I'm sure I'd be inundated with a bunch of bullshit. Hegseth said, and it's very subjective. I guarantee you could ask 500 men what the warrior instinct is, and you'd get 500 different answers, some overlapping, but 500 different answers. Because this is not a thing. You have not done social studies and studied human beings to understand ourselves objectively in an objective way you just think this in your head and think that well, just everybody must because it's in my head, so everybody has it in their head. No, they don't. Actually, they don't. It's a you thing. That's it. It's insane. It's literally insane. That's the definition of insane. It means it's in your head. This is all in your head, dude. Hegseth said September 5th, as Trump signed the executive order, a permanent department name change will require Congress to act. In addition to grooming, Hegseth, the new requirements extend to body composition and physical fitness. We must remain vigilant in maintaining the standards that enable the men and women of our military to protect the American people and our homeland as the world's most lethal and effective fighting force. Hegseth, our adversary not growing weaker and our task not growing less challenging. What did people have to say about this? I am so fucking curious about this. Let me see. Sharing sensitive information on an unsecured platforms, not a problem. But this is the thing that will make things better. Someone has their priorities mixed up. Oh my god, that's fucking great. He is certainly not alone in the administration, starting at the top with the interior decorator. Exactly. That's Trump's whole presidency in a nutshell. Ignore the real dangers, then obsess over meaningless distractions to look tough. It's all theater while the actual threats go unchecked. Trump is destroying everything the Democrats built under Obamacare. My premium is down to $90 per month. What is this person talking? My car insurance is down to $23 a month. If your premiums are going down, I would love to know what company you have because everyone else's is going up. Instead of focusing on cybersecurity, the economy, or protecting healthcare, he's wasting time with beard bans and vanity stunts. The priorities are upside down because it's never been about governing. It's about feeding his ego. I still love this. Sharing sensitive information on unsecured platforms, not a problem, but beards, oh yeah, that's it. But this is the thing that will make things better. Yeah, beards. Here's a Navy person. When I joined the Navy in the 1970, buzz cuts and clean shaven was the watchword of the day. Shortly after, Admiral Zumwalt became the CNO, and no longer hair and neatly trimmed mustaches were allowed. Later came neatly trimmed beards. There was no dip in operational readiness, and such actually increased morale. Hegseth is a Yahoo won't let me say what I really think of him. So this person from the military is saying, he was in the military in the 1970s, that as they became more laxed on facial hair and haircuts and stuff, and letting people have self-expression, morale in the military actually went up and they started performing better. Interesting. That's interesting. I agree with you 100%. My first thought was, how does a neatly trimmed beard or mustache decrease or inhibit their abilities to perform at the highest level they are physically and mentally. I said this when I was reading the article, able to, and as you mentioned it boosts morale. Sometimes the small things can actually increase abilities. I think I have a similar word for him as you do, so neither one of us can come out and say the quiet part. I wonder what exactly that they are talking about. Anyway, let's get into the next article about The Hill. I don't know if The Hill is right-wing or left-wing media publication anymore. I don't know. I know The Guardian's left-wing. Maybe it's The Guardian that's left-wing and The Hill that's right-wing. Trump ramps up attacks on left Democrats after Kirk assassination. And I mean, this is something I complained in another live stream, is unfortunately we have a very divisive president who is not going to handle this professionally. Our leadership in this country sucks. He is not going to say, whoa, everyone calm down. Direct your anger towards the person who actually did it. You know, not every Democrat, not every leftist, not every liberal, not every centrist in our country had anything to do with this. It has to do with one man, and we have him in custody. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that because he's insane. He's fucking crazy. President Trump is ramping up his attack on the left. I think he's mad at the left because the left made his life a living hell, attacking his companies and stuff. I think he's just fucking pissed, and he's like, I hate you guys. Last week's killing of Charlie Kirk, providing fuel to the White House's efforts to clamp down on left-leaning groups and institutions. Fuck me. Trump has, at nearly every turn since Kirk's assassination, argued the problem in the country stems from left-wing groups. And I'm irritated by Adam Mockler, because Adam Mockler is expecting the Trump administration, the Trump regime, the loyalist Kash Patel, who was a fucking podcaster, to come out and say, I think they already know it's a far-right person, because that one Republican lady went from, go after all these trans people, they need to be eradicated, fuck the left, da-da-da-da-da, and then now suddenly she's like, oh, I think Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for him and let him find Jesus and find the errors of his ways. I think they already know. This Tyler Robinson guy is far right, and I mean, I could be wrong on that. There could be other things that come forward, like people are saying, like, oh, but he has a trans girlfriend. They're saying that now. The thing is, and the permaculture lady, she had a video about this where she was saying, I'm just now learning that there's all these different factions of far right. And what I find interesting about that is that's one of the first things I did on my channel, is I talked about and explored like these various different groups of far right, like, and came to learn that National Socialists are different than fascists, are different than KKK, are different than white nationalists, are different than white separatists, are different than theocrats, are different than pro-monarchy, pro-oligarchy, plutocracy, aristocracy. These groups are all different from each other. And I even asked one of them at the time, so if you get the country and you get your way, like, some of them are for the Constitution, some of them are not. Like, some of them are far right in the sense that basically what they're asking for is, like, you know, it's still what a lot of leftists would call fascism. Essentially what it would be patriarchal democracy, in where only white men would vote like the head of house would vote, would be heterosexual cis white men would vote. And you're essentially talking about a patriarchal democracy, very authoritarian, actually. There's nothing, there's not a lot of freedom in a patriarchal democracy. It's bad. But it's like, but the fascists and the neo-Nazis don't want the Constitution. They want to destroy it. And I even remember saying, like, you guys are going to start creating a bunch of infighting. You're not going to get along because you guys have some very fundamental differences. And the thing is like this Tyler Robinson, you have to understand, like Richard Spencer, his version of far right, gay people bad. It's kind of like the whole thing, like in some Middle Eastern countries that are ruled by very conservative far right, like theocratic policies. Some of them have the position of being gay that's bad. And so you're given an ultimatum in those countries. You can either transition and live as a secondary class citizen or be put to death. And some of the far right people, like Richard Spencer, that was his position. Trans people were okay. Homosexuality, no. And then some of them, it's a different thing. Some of them are like, trans people, no. Gay people, it's okay as long as you stay in the closet and like keep that shit to yourself. It just depends on which group. This Tyler Robinson, though, he be part of a group where it's kind of like, look, gay is no, but trans secondary class citizen type thing. Like some of the far right have that position. And to my understanding, and I could be wrong, but to my understanding, what was written on those bullets was basically a Gen Z language of a homophobic slur. They were basically calling Charlie Kirk a bundle of sticks F-word. Like that was the equivalent of what was written. I think the guy was far right, like further to the right than MAGA. And just before this happened with Charlie Kirk, he got in a fight with Nick Fuentes' group about not being far right enough because Charlie Kirk is a theocrat, and fascists tend to be more nihilistic. Or I think the neo-Nazis are more atheist, and some of the fascists, well, the National Socialists, I think they sort of sometimes cling to some religious ideology. Nick has some religious ideology in there. Like there is that far right group that's like the Catholic Church is too far to the left, so they want to go with theocrat of the Orthodox Church, because Catholicism is too lenient. And Charlie Kirk was, I believe, for Catholicism. I'm sorry, but my understanding, and I could be wrong, but I think Tyler Robinson is far right. And there's nothing to say that the trans person that he had as a roommate, that they had anything romantic going on. We don't have any evidence of that. But I do think it is very telling that Republican, was she a senator or a congresswoman? I don't remember what she was. But that woman started off saying, go after the trans people, go after the left, to, I think Charlie would want us to... I think they already know. And the thing that irritates me about Adam Mockler is it's like, you expect a loyalist like Kash Patel, somebody who is covering up the fact that Trump is all over the Epstein files, is going to come out and say, hey, turns out this Tyler Robinson guy isn't actually a leftist or Democrat or anything like that. turns out he's actually kind of on our side. He voted for Trump, but he's further right than Trump or Charlie Kirk, and that's why he. Do you really think Kash Patel's going to do that? I don't think Kash Patel's going to do that. Hey, Kash Patel sat up there. Like, you're not even supposed to be involved with a case of somebody that was close to you, and you have Kash Patel sitting up there going like, I'll see you in Valhalla, brother. That right there is a problem. And in the legal system, that could make it to where a prosecutor will look and say, why were you in charge of this case? Did you or did you not have an affinity, a connection, a personal relationship, sort of feelings about about Charlie Kirk? The problem with that is the reason why in law enforcement you cannot work on a case on somebody who's close to you is because you are prone to bias. And we've already seen that. Kash Patel said, oh, it's this person, we caught them. And it turns out it wasn't them. Oh, it's this person, we caught them. And then it turns out it wasn't them. Kash Patel should not be in that position. He is a podcaster. He knows nothing about criminal psychology, nothing about criminology, nothing about investigative sciences, nothing about law. Why is he in the position that he's in? Because he's a loyalist. And Adam Mockler is sitting there like, you guys, there's no information stating what his political affiliation was. You know, yeah, he came from a conservative family, blah, 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 blah. But we have to wait for that information to come out. Adam, sweetheart, Adam, listen. Liberals, listen. They are not going to come out and say it's one of our guys. Actually, it's a far right guy, because they want this division. They want the excuse to normalize, rationalize, and do this sort of military this military shit on Democrats, on left wing, more blue areas. They want the division. They want to flam the hates. It is not in their best interest to come out and say, well, actually, it wasn't a Democrat of any kind. It's this far right kind of like group that's like further right than Trump is even, and further right than Charlie Kirk, that advocates for like a totalitarian fascist society. They're not going to do it. They're not going to tell that to the public, even if they know that that's true. And I think they already do. I think they already know it. They got the guy in fucking custody. They can talk to him. You know, establishing motive is so important. It's more important than understanding what his political fucking ideology is. If we lived in a healthy society, I'm telling you, if we lived in a healthy society, the political ideology of the perpetrator and the victim do not matter. Okay? The rule is, it is illegal to kill someone for their political ideology. That's just illegal. Period. Hands down. Full stop. Does not matter what the political ideology of the perpetrator or the victim was. Does not matter. It is supposed to be illegal in this country to kill someone for their political ideology. Full stop. What is more important in an investigation is trying to understand the motive. The motive. What motivated him to do it? That's a big piece of evidence right there. Instead, they're hyper-fixated on who did he vote for. Well, and he wasn't voting, so like it doesn't matter. But because we have the administration we do, well, yay. The strategy has animated Republicans who are mourning Kirk as a free speech champion and political martyr. free speech champion, but anybody who says anything ill about Charlie Kirk to be go to hell. You're not free speech people. You're not free speech people. You're not free speech absolutists. Shut up. You're not. Stop saying words you're not. Don't call yourself a constitutionalist and then turn around and say, I don't care that Trump is wiping his ass with the Constitution. You're not a constitutionalist then. You're not. Don't call yourself a free speech absolutist and then turn around and say that it's okay to censor people. You're not a free speech absolutist then, if you do that. You're not. You're not. You're just not. Stop using words that, stop. Stop acting like we're all too stupid to figure that out. Come on, man. But it ignores what his Democratic critics contended is Trump's own history of normalizing political violence. Yep. And yeah, he has done that a lot. In a 4-minute video posted hours after Kirk was shot, Trump said years of attacks from the left. What leftist attacks? What? The only one I can think of where a person died that was from the left was Luigi Mangione. The rest were all accused of being leftists, and we found out later that they were far right people trying to pose as leftists to try to create accelerationism. From the left, comparing figures like Charlie Kirk to Nazis was directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. That is just trying to normalize the fascism. You can't call fascism fascism. This was the problem. This happened with my aunt. Okay, I called her. I said, based on your position, you're either extremely stupid, naive, ignorant, and don't know what you're talking about, or either that, you are racist. She's definitely transphobic, homophobic, and have internalized misogyny. Because the thing is that when you're saying very angrily, mad, the reason why costs and inflation and everything is going up, one, because women are in the workforce, but predominantly fixated because black people have jobs. And then she got mad at me for, just you're either stupid and have no idea what you're talking about, or you're racist. She fixated not on the other thing, I'm not stupid. You must be calling me racist. I was saying, well, no, you're one or the other. But the thing is, she has all the things definitionally of what racism is, of a racist. Black people are different. Black people are this. Black people are that. They're fucking up the economy. They're violent. They're stupid. They're this. They're that. They're insane. They're all addicts. Blah 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 blah. This is all very racist stuff. The only thing that's missing is the label racist. Do you understand? She's filling the entire definition, an entire position based on racism is what she was doing. And the only, you could say, black people are so violent, aren't? And she'd be like, oh, yes, all the time. They're so uncivilized. She could do everything racist, just fit the bill of racism. But then sit there and say, but I'm not racist. It's like, ideologically, you have your everything that racism is the only thing that you're not copping up to is like all your opinions and positions about people of color is racism to the core. And the only thing you're not doing is saying, I am racist. That is the only difference. That is the only thing that is going on, is you're not calling yourself a racist. But all of your positions, all of your opinions are, yes, absolutely, racist. Okay? And so basically, by saying, like, if somebody comes out and goes, I'm not a fascist, I just want a homogeneous, totalitarian society of nothing but white, heterosexual, cis white people, maybe Christianity, maybe not, whatever, but, rule through totalitarian authoritarianism, but, I'm not fascist. Well, that you just described fascism. And what's going on here is, like, these people are definitionally describing fascism, and the left is coming out saying that's fascism. That's eugenics. That's what these things are. Historically speaking, that's what they are. And Trump is saying, no, you can't call them that anymore. It's dangerous. You can't call a duck a duck. We don't want people to know it's a duck. We want people to think it's a human, not a duck. It'd be a good metaphor, honestly. On the internet, we should all start doing that. Say duck. When co-host Ashley Earnhardt asked Trump how the country can come together, noting there are radicals on both the right and the left, Trump defended those on the right, and I saw that clip, as concerned about crime, while condemning those on the left as vicious and horrible. The left is concerned about crime too. They're concerned about corporate like white collar crime and the deaths that occur from systemic injustices like that, like denying somebody health care or health coverage. It's like they're in the hospital dying, they've paid into their health insurance their entire life and have never used it. Fucking assholes. And have never used it, and then the time that they need it on their deathbed, and the insurance company goes, nope, and they die. Okay, that's not directly responsible. Like they're not going up to the person and pulling a gun and killing them, but they're killing them through sort of a bureaucratic action. On Sunday, Trump again insisted the problem is on the left, but you can't give any examples of it. I want you to give examples, and they're always the only example you're going to say is the Floyd protests and the Tesla thing. And that's it. You're going to run short very, very quick. But then if you look at like far right terrorist acts, like it's like pages. It's like a very long list. When you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speak so badly of our country. The American flag burnings all over the place. That is not happening. There is not American flags burning all over the place. That's the left. That's not the right, Trump said. And burning an American flag is not an act of violence or terrorism. A friend of mine pointed something out to me about they're redefining words. What was it? He said, yeah, I thought political violence used to be called terrorism. They slowly sanitize terms like that to make them more palatable. Exactly. Friend Jim said that to me, and I absolutely 100% agree. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. They're trying to sanitize. They're trying to normalize. Just hours after Kirk was shot, Reps Nancy Mace and Anna Pauline Luna both accused Democrats of creating an environment that makes conservatives targets for violence. And Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene called for a national divorce Monday. She's done this multiple times in a lengthy post blaming the left for the death of Kirk and saying millions on the left celebrated and made clear they want all of us dead. No, they're making shit up. This did not happen. You're either lying or you're delusional. And I'm not sure which one it is. Or either that, like, you're doing this on purpose because you are wanting to do it. And this is what I mean, like with Adam Mockler. You think these people are going to tell you that Tyler Robinson is far right? They're not going to do that. Yet political violence affects both parties. Both sides have fallen victim to attacks perpetrated by those with opposing ideologies. With that in mind, many Democrats have pushed back on Trump's assertion that political violence was somehow more rooted within the left than the right. And there are other political studies that show right-wing violence tends to target property damage more than lives. And that's true, like, throughout the history of left and right. Like, right-wing violence almost, like, it requires the death of a group of people. Right-wing extremism and authoritarianism requires the dehumanization and slaughter and murder of people, of human beings. The left-wing violence typically targets property. No one party is immune from political violence. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro wrote in a post on X, "My family and I can attest to that." Shapiro, who was home with his family in the governor's mansion when a man set the house ablaze earlier this year on the first night of Passover, apparently targeting him over his position on Israel and Gaza, using the rhetoric of rage and calling some of our fellow Americans scum, no matter how profound our differences, only creates more division and makes it harder to heal, he added. This is true. I don't really care for Josh Shapiro, but that is true. We are at an inflection point in American Shapiro. Violence transcends party lines, and the way to address it and have true peaceful debate is for leaders to speak and act with moral clarity that needs to start with the president. And like I said, we have terrible leadership here. It's not going to happen. Trump isn't going to fucking do it. Representative Joe Morell, New York, the top Democrat in the House committee that oversees member security, the House Administration Committee, said efforts to assign blame to huge numbers of people were responsible and would only further inflame tensions. It's just so counterproductive to be laying the blame at any ideological person or group, and frankly, it just furthers the escalation of the tensions that exist. And I mean, we should be doing everything we can now to encourage people both on our side and the other side of the ideological divide to be calm and to be thoughtful in this moment, to be prayerful. I don't necessarily disagree with that. That Trump is going after Democrats is hardly a surprise. Trump does not sell himself as a uniter, and much of his time in office has been spent playing to his political base. Some Democrats think Trump's attacks on them related to Kirk's killing will thus fall flat politically. The American people weren't born yesterday. They've seen Trump whip up political violence and divide us. Representative Jason Crow wrote in sharing a social media post from Trump last year showing a pickup truck emblazoned with an image of the Biden thing. He incited a mob to storm the Capitol and beat cops. Then he pardoned violent criminals. Crow continued. Now he's trying to exploit a tragedy in order to silence his political opponents. Tensions are showing no signs of easing. Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller claimed Monday that there was a broad network of left-leaning organizations fomenting violence, though he did not provide specifics. He vowed to use the full strength of the federal government to identify, disrupt, eliminate, and destroy this network. How much longer is this? I think I'm going to go to the next fucking article. Fuck. The thing about Stephen Miller saying this is, I don't know if you guys know that. I mean, I covered this in another live stream, but there were 30 people in a Discord server with Tyler Robinson. And why aren't they rounding them up and talking to them? Because Tyler Robinson, while they were having a manhunt for him and showing pictures of him everywhere and offering a reward for his capture, he was talking about this and joking about it with 30 individuals on a Discord server. Why aren't they doing? Who are those 30 people? Why aren't they doing that? That's something they could be doing. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who condemned both Kirk's shooting and has urged the rejection of political violence in every form, said Miller's comments appeared to use shooting as a basis for going after the Democratic Party. Wake Up America, Stephen Miller has already publicly labeled the Democrat Party as a terrorist organization. Newsom wrote Monday on X, "This isn't about crime and safety, it's about dismantling our democratic institutions. We cannot allow acts of political violence to be weaponized and used to threaten tens of millions of Americans." Vice President Vance, who hosted Kirk's radio show Monday from the White House campus, bringing Miller on as a guest, said the administration would take action to address what he called festering violence that you see on the far left, and he insisted it was the left, not the right, that was more likely to accept political violence, while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies. It is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left, Vance said, and there is no evidence of that, of course. Other Republicans have offered different signals. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has urged the public not to point fingers at the other side as more becomes known about the killer's motives. See, there's a Republican who still has some fucking sense to them. Thank you. Spencer Cox. I'm sure we don't agree on anything, but this is good leadership. This is what you're supposed to do. Thank you. There is one person responsible for what happened here, and that person, I've said this, and that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. I have literally been saying this for like the past week. That's literally my words verbatim. The problem with political violence is it mestitizes because we can always point the finger at the other side, he said, and at some point we have to find an off-ramp or it's going to get much, much worse. But see, these are choices that we can make. Started reading it faster so I could get on the next one. Okay, well, I think this is just a slideshow. Is this just a slideshow? Business Insider. Trump filed a $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times and 4 of its journalists, because of course he did. Of course he did. He doesn't like it when people say anything negative about him, even if it's true. Even if it is true. He does not like anyone saying anything negative, even if it's true. He is a very litigious guy, isn't he? Very litigious. Let's see. Yeah, this is a slideshow. I'm not doing that. 2-minute read. President Donald Trump is suing the New York Times and 4 of his journalists. Yeah, let's get into that. President... How many times is it going to repeat itself before he actually gets into it? The New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long. And that stops now. Trump wrote it on Truth Social. Like, why are all of his stuff on Truth Social? He is seeking at least $15 billion in damages per the lawsuit. The White House and the Times did not immediately respond to requests for comment from Business Insider. Trump's lawyer, Alejandro Brito, filed the lawsuit in the Tampa division of the Middle District of Florida. Brito represented Trump when he sued ABC News and the Wall Street Journal for defamation. ABC News paid Trump $15 million in settlement last year. In the court filing, Trump's lawyers said the Times had been trying to destroy his reputation as a successful businessman and subject him to humiliation and ridicule. Bullshit. You're not a successful businessman, dude. You bankrupted a casino. You had a fake academy that was illegal, and you did not face legal ramifications for that, and you should have. You got away with it. You should just shut up and be thankful. The filing cited several articles about Trump published by the Times last year. It also took aim at Lucky Loser, how Donald Trump squandered his father's fortune and created the illusion of success. This was true. A book written by 2 Times reporters Susan Craig and Russ Buettner, Craig Buettner, and their publisher, Penguin Random House, were listed as defendants alongside the Times. The book and articles are part of a decades-long pattern by the New York Times of intentional and malicious defamation against President Trump's lawyers wrote in the court filing. You should actually, if you don't know what they're talking about, before they're gone, before, Trump burns those books and enacts his censorship because he doesn't want you to know about him, you should find these things that Trump is talking about and actually look at them, because they're actually really intriguing. They go pretty in depth looking at his finances and like what he did from his youth up to, I think one of the ones that they brought up, one of the articles was about like stuff that led all the way up to The Apprentice, and why he actually ended up on The Apprentice is like every business he touched was just failing. And that's not being mean to Trump. It's just this is the reality. Like, you failed, and you're still rich. Be grateful. Stop being a little asshole. Today, the Times is a full-throated mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. Newspaper's editorial routine is now one of the industrial scale defamation and libel against political opponents, the filing said. This does not sound like a legitimate, complaint to a lawsuit filing. We're in hell. We're in hell. Nobody on the left could say, the Daily Stormer has become a complete mouthpiece for fascism and defamation and libel on me. Like, no one would take that seriously. Only in Trump, only in his regime, only this. Like, we're in hell. Justice is dead. Trump's lawyers did not immediately respond to requests for comment for Business Insider. This isn't the first time Trump has sued the Times. In 2021, he filed a lawsuit. He also got mad just because he didn't end up on the People of the Year fucking magazine too. He filed a lawsuit against the paper accusing the Times and its reports of conspiring with his niece. Damn it, he's so fucking petty. He's so fucking petty. God damn it, he is so fucking petty. Mary Trump. Yeah, I don't even have to read it. I already know who he's talking about. She has her own fucking YouTube channel to obtain his tax records. Craig and Buettner were two of the three reporters named in Trump's lawsuit. Justice Robert Reed of the state Supreme Court in Manhattan dismissed the suit in May of 2023 and ordered Trump to pay the outlet and its reporters their legal fees in January 2024. See, he's been doing this for a long time. He has been doing this for a very, very long time. He's just a sensitive asshole baby. And it doesn't matter if it's the truth. If it's negative, it doesn't matter that it's fact. If it doesn't paint him up to be this amazing, fantastic fucking person, he gets pissed. He refuses to believe that he can fuck up anything. Takes no responsibility, no accountability. It's always someone else. It's always someone else. And if it is him and someone says it, they're going to feel his wrath. Even this was when our court system, our judicial system was still functioning as it should. Because, Trump presented this and said, they wrote a piece on me that I didn't like. This Robert Reed, state Supreme Court of Manhattan guy, did the right thing. He dismissed it and said, you need to pay their court fees. This is ridiculous. You're wasting my fucking time. There are real crimes I need to be paying attention to, Trump. I don't care that somebody wrote an article about you doesn't put you in a favorable light. You invented a false school, had people pay you for unaccredited shit, which is illegal. You got away with it. Be grateful. Shut up. You bankrupted a fucking... he's bankrupted pretty much almost everything he's touched, but more like it's amazing how he bankrupted a casino. Like, a lot of people scratch their heads on that one. Like, I don't know how you bankrupt a fucking casino. I don't know how you do that. Don't know how you do that. And that's all this is. This time is saying, like, basically the sad story of Trump and how he inherited his father's wealth and just could not run businesses like his father. And he's pissed. He's pissed about that, and it's just the fucking truth. Go and look at the articles that he's talking about. Go look at them for yourself. It's investigative journalism. They did what they were supposed to. They just followed the lead, followed the story, and reported on it. It just happened to be that like if Trump was doing well, they would have printed an article saying he was doing well, but he wasn't. He wasn't. And there's things that they talk about that he did well in there. He ended up on The Apprentice. Okay, you did well there. We gotta have ups and downs in life. Get over it, buddy. What a dick. We're in hell. 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 All right. That's all the articles I'm gonna do for today. Thank you all for joining me. I see people like coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. I think this is important to read articles. This is why I was doing this on Facebook. Is I wanted people to read the news and get it from multiple sources. And I feel that when people do this, if people actually go through and read the news like every day and actually read it, not go to YouTubers and stuff, they become more aware of like what's going on. And you find out like a lot of like what these people on social media are doing. If you read the news, you will get access to the information a lot faster than like if you're only getting your news media from social media people and you start reading news, you will start to see that you're actually starting to read the stories like sometimes 1-2 days, but sometimes as much as a week before the social media person that you like will cover it. And a lot of the people on social media, that's what they're doing, is they're taking what a real investigative journalist has already done their job, and then they go onto social media and they act like they're the ones that did it, like they're Rachel Maddow reporting on it or something, and really they're just reaction channels. They're just, here's a news media piece, an article about blah blah blah, and then I'm going to sit here and read it and react to it like I just did. And that's one of the sad things that I realized when I started posting the articles on Facebook is people won't read them. So then if you start leaving links to a social media person talking about it, people don't click on the links. And then I realized if I did a screen recording of, like this.
Trump filed a $15 million defamation lawsuit against the New York Times and 4 of its journalists. 1. President Donald Trump is suing the New York Times and 4 of its journalists. 2. He filed a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the Times on Monday night. 3. His lawyers said the Times.
Okay, so if I screen record that, where it reads the article out loud and it's usually like a 2 to 5 minute video or something, and post that on Facebook, people would watch that. People would listen to it. They'd actually hear an article, a news article. Didn't technically read it, but they kind of read a news article. And so I would do this with multiple articles. I'd just post a bunch of them where the thing would read it for them. And people were actually getting information this way. And then I realized if they're not going to read, maybe they'll listen to the social media people because they seem to really like social media. And they have a social media person that we all follow. And this is where I get my news from. I get it from so-and-so on blah, blah, blah. And you see an article and you're like, well, this social media person covered it. I'll put a link up so they can get the information from that because they're not going to read an article about it, but this person talks about the article. They won't click on the link. But then I learned if I take a screen recording and then post the screen recording on my Facebook, they will stop and watch it, but they won't click on a link. So I figured maybe every morning if I do this live stream and start going over these news articles, people will get access to information. Sadly, though, it just makes me another, YouTube reaction to news articles person, and that doesn't make you a journalist. It doesn't make you a reporter. It just makes you a reaction channel. You're reacting to the news. So, eventually, I'm like gonna have to take breaks from doing this because I do also want to continue just making videos, and there's one that I have in mind that I want to do. And I have to find links and stuff and get that all set up and everything at some point. Yeah, so... like, share, subscribe, and comment. As I go out, I'm going to play the Collectivist song as the outro and intro for this one. I made that, wrote, performed everything, so like, share, subscribe, comment, bell button, all that. Be good to each other, be good to everybody. Be kind, be humble. And hopefully you learn something in these news articles. And I'm out.